Faces can be lit with smiles while knives are already being sharpened behind your back. This happens not out of compulsion, but because the opportunity exists. Betrayal in this world is not a random occurrence. It is a carefully calculated strategy. People are capable of studying an individual, skillfully mimicking their kindness, and reflecting their ambitions just enough to draw closer. However, once they have extracted everything they need, they will either vanish without a trace, or, even more destructively, turn that person into their next stepping stone to the top. Many have likely experienced this feeling. The sharp pang of pain when someone you fully trusted weaponized your loyalty. Or that stunned silence when those you protected suddenly refused to offer protection in return. This isn't a string of bad luck. It's the harsh reality of the world around you. Most people aren't built to uplift others. Their nature drives them to compete, to take what's theirs, to bypass others. They don't always strike directly. Some will applaud as you bleed, while others will turn your pain into their entertainment. And the moment you step out of character, revealing weakness, you will immediately be marked as prey. If you believe that honesty alone can protect you, you should reconsider your convictions. This world does not reward purity of intention. It studies it, skillfully manipulates it, and then profits from it. People have been taught to be kind, while the world trains its winners to be strategic thinkers. They were told that honesty is noble, but nobility without power is like an empty coffin. They were also told to forgive everyone, but forgiveness without established boundaries is a direct invitation to repeated betrayal. This material is not about playing fair. It's about playing smart, understanding the true mechanisms of power, and why those who succeed are not always the most talented or the most moral. They are the ones who grasp the hidden essence of the game beneath the surface. This is where Machiavelli enters the scene. His words were never intended to pacify or comfort. They were forged for survival. For those who live in a world where people lie with a smile and destroy with charm. If you seek to survive in this world, if you wish to rise above it, you cannot simply be good. You must be informed, cold-blooded, strategically minded, and unwavering. This material will present 7 Machiavellian truths designed to strengthen your mental fortitude and sharpen your natural perceptiveness. These principles serve as a powerful arsenal of psychological tools for survival in the modern world. They will undoubtedly provoke rejection from the weak-spirited, and conversely, become a catalyst for insight for those ready for deep inner change. If you have ever faced betrayal, manipulation, or underestimation, this is a crucial turning point for you. For once you fully internalize the proposed principles, it will not only be extremely difficult to harm you, but utterly impossible to control you. The first rule states, you must strictly and ruthlessly control your image. Visual perception often outweighs raw truth. The great thinker Niccolò Machiavelli once proclaimed, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, few know what you really are." These words were not merely a warning but, in essence, handed you a powerful weapon. In the modern world, how you present yourself to others carries far more weight than your true essence. People rarely strive to look beyond superficial manifestations, and even if they try, they tend to see only what they want to believe, not objective reality. This is why your image must be constructed with surgical precision, like a weapon of war. Its purpose is not deception, but solely the protection of your own person. You may possess extraordinary wisdom, formidable power, and pose a serious threat. But if you appear too ordinary or unremarkable, others will perceive you only as expendable material of little value. And it is at that moment that they will deliver their insidious blow. Your image is not just an adornment or external tinsel. It is a masterful camouflage. It is impenetrable armor. It is a strategic diversion. If people mistakenly believe they have completely unraveled your true nature, they stop observing carefully. And when their attention wanes, that is your moment for decisive action. You should stop showing all your cards. In a game of chess, no one announces their strategy to their opponent. On the contrary, players lure, mislead, and set clever traps. Likewise, your outward appearance should serve as a controlled narrative, a diversion, a powerful barrier between your true essence and the assumptions others make. The more hidden your true nature remains, the more untouchable you become to external influences and manipulations. You absolutely should not offer explanations. Every such explanation is like a crack appearing in the strong wall of your impregnability. The moment you start justifying your decisions to those who are not at your level of development or understanding, you open a direct path into your inner world and thoughts. Let others judge you. Let them spread rumors. Their noisy condemnation and gossip serve as your perfect cover. Never beg for understanding or leniency. The world is not inclined to reward naked truth. It generously rewards a skillfully crafted illusion. Therefore, you must make your illusion sharp, carefully considered, and impeccably calculated. Do not strive to be the loudest voice in the room. Instead, wisdom suggests becoming the most unreadable figure, leaving others guessing your true intentions as your actions unfold. Let others be mistaken, thinking you are simple, while you skillfully construct a complex strategy. Transparency in this world can sometimes be a trap, a luxury you cannot always afford. The more information people have about you, the easier it becomes to predict your moves, exert pressure, or even establish control. Even a noble trait like kindness, if not managed consciously, can be turned against you. Therefore, it is crucial to guard your inner depth, carefully protecting your emotional world. Speak less, maintain outward calm, and observe more. If others prefer to underestimate you, allow them to. A wolf will never correct a sheep when it mistakenly believes him to be unarmed. He simply waits patiently for his moment. Ultimately, you control what others see and reveal only the information you deem necessary. Rule number 2 states, never fully rely on loyalty. Instead, you must create leverage. Loyalty is certainly pleasant while it exists, and it provides a sense of security until it collapses. The big mistake many people make is perceiving loyalty as an unbreakable bond. This is far from the truth. In essence, loyalty is an unspoken contract, written in invisible ink, which disappears the moment it becomes inconvenient for one of the parties. People, by their nature, are not loyal directly to you. They are loyal only to their own needs, and as soon as those needs change, so does their allegiance. You can confidently count on this. You have probably seen it many times. Those who swore eternal devotion and promised never to switch sides vanish as soon as the situation becomes uncomfortable. Those you supported when it cost you significant effort won't even turn around when a similar situation demands sacrifices from them. This is not betrayal in its pure form. It is simply the nature of human relationships. There's no point in mourning it. Adapting to this reality is far more important. Leverage represents the evolution of the concept of loyalty. While loyalty is built on trust, leverage is founded on power. And power, unlike emotions, does not disappear when moods change. It remains constant, it holds, it controls. You don't persuade people to stay. You create conditions where leaving you becomes too costly and unprofitable. This is how true power functions. Niccolò Machiavelli expressed this thought coldly and precisely. A promise given was a necessity of the past. A broken word is a necessity of the present. This quote means that people will always do what they need to do at a specific moment in time. They are ready to promise anything when you need them, and they will break all their promises as soon as you cease to be useful to them. Therefore, stop trying to earn loyalty. Start collecting leverage. You must deeply understand the motivations of others. You should be aware of their weaknesses, their dependencies, hidden insecurities, and driving ambitions. You should not exploit this knowledge without extreme necessity. However, under no circumstances should you forget about it. This is where the lever of control lies. This serves as reliable protection. Bonds of friendship are inherently fragile and impermanent, whereas strategic thinking remains unyielding. Genuine relationships can certainly exist, but they always require clear boundaries and constant vigilance. Loyalty should only be shown when it is continuously confirmed by actions, and even then, you must always keep your own leverage, your insurance, in reserve, preventing it from being compromised. People remain in personal relationships, in their positions, or in various alliances not because they are driven by true devotion, but rather because the cost of breaking these ties outweighs the potential benefit of such a move. This is the key function of leverage. It transforms loyalty from the realm of emotional impulses into the plane of rational calculation. In this way, an individual becomes less replaceable, more dangerous to those who dare to cross them, and undoubtedly unforgettable. True influence does not involve overt dominance or a display of force. Rather, it requires the skillful application of pressure that is exerted subtly, but with unwavering consistency. This is expressed in subtle, sometimes even non-verbal, reminders that any betrayal will have certain consequences. It is the unspoken but profound understanding that the one who holds the leverage possesses keys that others desperately do not want them to use. This is how one ensures reliable protection. Loyalty, in essence, is a variable. It is optional. However, leverage remains constant and unchanging. The third key rule states, always be 2 steps ahead. Strategic thinking invariably surpasses emotional impulses. If opponents manage to provoke you, they gain the opportunity to trap you. And the very moment you succumb to emotions and act impulsively, you voluntarily surrender your most powerful weapon: control. Emotions themselves are not negative, but they become extremely dangerous if not kept under strict supervision. The world around you is indifferent to anyone's inner experiences. It responds exclusively to actions and deeds. And if your movements are impulsive, reflexive, or overly demonstrative, it means you are not playing your own game, but merely submitting to someone else's rules. Strategically minded people differ from the majority. They do not react to events as everyone else does. Instead, they carefully track patterns, analyze others' reactions, and proactively plan escape routes or solutions, even before potential problems have a chance to manifest. For such individuals, every word spoken becomes a valuable data point, every pause or silence a crucial signal, and every potential insult a source of deep insight. This is because they have grasped a fundamental truth. The one who can maintain imperturbable calm holds power over the pace of events, and the one who controls that pace ultimately determines the final outcome. The vast majority of people, in contrast, live in a mode of constant reaction to external stimuli. They immediately lash out in response to offensive words, seek immediate closure when they feel betrayed, and expend energy defending their reputation to those whose opinions hold absolutely no value. However, true masters of the game never fall for emotional traps. They allow external distractions to merely create background noise, while they themselves continue their journey in focused silence. Machiavelli himself once warned us, "A man who wants to act virtuously in all things will inevitably come to grief among so many who are not virtuous." Thus, if someone chooses a path of impeccable honesty in a contest where their opponents disregard the rules, such a person is not merely demonstrating nobility. They are, rather, displaying a naive blindness to the realities of the world. True strategy is not cruelty. It is nothing less than absolute clarity of vision. It is not necessary to be ruthless to prevail, but it is essential to be fully prepared for the moment when ruthlessness manifests from opponents. The ability to foresee events 2 steps ahead ensures that you will never be caught off guard. This implies that a retreat path or the next move has already been thought out and planned long before opponents have a chance to voice their intentions. Betrayal, if inevitable, is already anticipated and accepted with philosophical calm, even before it materializes in reality. This is how victories are achieved, not through turbulent emotions, but through deep and comprehensive awareness. A strategist never publicizes their plans. They do not flaunt their achievements or progress. They deliberately allow others to underestimate their capabilities, while they themselves steadily outpace them, acting in complete silence. When lied to, they merely take note, registering the fact. At the moment of an attack, they carefully study the vulnerability that opponents have just carelessly exposed. If they try to provoke, they clearly understand the lack of true control on the part of the opponents. Do not succumb to anger when people reveal their true nature. On the contrary, this information should be used. Truth becomes your powerful weapon. You predict patterns of behavior, and you continue your path in absolute silence. Your approach is not an instant reaction, but a cold calculation. You always strive to outwit. The fourth rule states, power is not granted, it is taken. You should not demand anything. You must manage everything. Power does not come to those who passively wait. It comes to those who actively act. If someone still hopes that respect will be bestowed upon them as a reward for hard work or personal virtues, Such a person has already disqualified themselves from this game. The world does not operate on the laws of justice. Its driving force is the principle of dominance. However, dominance is not always manifested in a noisy or aggressive manner. It is expressed in a tangible presence, unwavering confidence, in a quiet but powerful self-possession that involuntarily compels others to adjust to its bearer. When you enter a room, no one will automatically yield their place to you. You either take it, or you remain unnoticed, invisible. You either articulate your thoughts with unshakable conviction, or your voice remains unheard, your words ignored. People tend to respond to displays of strength. Their attention is drawn not to the noise of empty words, not to turbulent emotions, but to unshakable authority. The very moment you start waiting for permission to act, you seem to diminish in your own eyes and in the eyes of others. As soon as you begin to ask for recognition, you inevitably lose crucial levers of influence. Power is not about seeking approval. It is a firm and uncompromising stance. If someone disrespects you, and you remain inactive, you thereby teach the offender that such behavior is perfectly acceptable. If someone disregards your worth, and you begin to explain your significance in excessive detail, you inadvertently only confirm the opponent's mistaken opinion. There is no need to explain your worth. Its demonstration occurs without any apologies or the slightest hesitation, becoming an undeniable fact. Niccolò Machiavelli once remarked, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." These words are not an appeal to cruelty or ruthlessness at all. They merely indicate that love and affection alone are insufficient to maintain genuine influence and respect. People deeply value what they are afraid to lose. This fear is not always associated with direct intimidation. It stems from an unyielding, resolute stance. Its essence lies in unequivocally demonstrating that any encroachment on your person or your interests will incur a definite, tangible cost. Your mere presence should command respect. And this is achieved not by brute force, but by undeniable self-possession and an inner core. You should not ask others to respect your personal space. You should simply occupy it. Do not wait for an invitation to the table. Sometimes it is necessary to overturn the existing order, and then create your own, forcing everyone else to merely observe the process. You must become the kind of person who does not need to declare their worth aloud, because your entire demeanor, every action, and every word unequivocally testify to it. Every move should remind people that you do not require anyone's approval to act. You do not need external validation of your leadership qualities. You do not wait for a crown to be bestowed, but rather create it yourself through your outstanding results, incredible resilience, and that silent but powerful strength that speaks far more convincingly than any official title. This is not a request, but an assertion of your own will. You take what rightfully belongs to you. You do not plead, but purposefully create, building your own reality. Rule 5 states, you must meticulously conceal your pain. Under no circumstances should you show your vulnerability or bleed in front of those who are like wolves. The world, like a predator, begins to observe a person with intensified scrutiny when they are wounded. Such observers do not rush to help. Instead, they draw closer to meticulously assess the depth of the wound. Any display of weakness instantly becomes an unmistakable signal that predators are always keenly attuned to. In public, such individuals may nod approvingly, offering feigned sympathy, and even assuring their readiness to provide support. However, behind closed doors, they ruthlessly use the information gained to strike precisely where the pain is felt most acutely. Such is life's merciless game, and if one refuses to play by its rules, they inevitably become merely a pawn in someone else's match. Their pain is sacred. It belongs to them, not a currency to be squandered for solace from those who only feign concern. One owes no one their vulnerability. It is a precious gem, and a precious gem must be earned, not given to the first impostor who feigns empathy. When one displays their wounds in inappropriate circumstances, they provide others with a roadmap to their own undoing. Therefore, do not put them on display. Let healing occur in silence, suffering be endured in solitude, and present yourself as unbreakable steel, no matter what torments your soul. Niccolò Machiavelli, though not expressing this directly, rigorously adhered to this principle. Individuals vested with power cannot afford the luxury of displaying obvious weakness. The historian observed how individuals lost all their possessions not because of true infirmity, but because they appeared vulnerable. The perception of others holds destructive power. Once society is convinced of someone's brokenness, that person begins to be treated as a burden, a liability. Power and compassion are incompatible concepts. If people feel pity, they will not feel fear. And if fear is absent, they will unhesitatingly trample on a person, all the while pretending to care. This is not about heartlessness, but about the highest degree of self-mastery. There is no need to bury one's human essence. It is enough simply not to offer it to those who are ready to ruthlessly feed upon it. Vulnerability, undoubtedly, has value, but only when applied with surgical precision, not when it pours out uncontrollably. One's personal story should only be shared when it has been fully understood and overcome, not when it is still tearing them apart, ripping them from within. In public, one must maintain an image of an unyielding person. Even if, behind the curtain of private life, they are crumbling into pieces, there is no need to expose one's emotional crises to public view on the internet. One should not publicize their misfortunes to those who have not proven their loyalty or earned genuine trust. Silence in such circumstances is not a sign of weakness. It is a manifestation of profound wisdom. It imbues a person with formidable strength. It makes them invulnerable. Their pain becomes a source of strength. Their silence acquires true power. Rule 6 states, utilize people's deep-seated aspirations to gain control over them. Humanity is driven not by strict logic, but by irresistible desires. You can present them with undeniable facts, state the pure truth, demonstrate probable consequences. None of this will matter if it doesn't align with what they genuinely crave. The most expeditious path to establishing influence over anyone lies not through brute force, but through a deep understanding of what truly drives their actions at their core. Their innermost, most powerful desire transforms into an invisible leash. The moment one accurately identifies what they are pursuing, be it attention, power, material wealth, universal approval, or personal validation of their significance, one gains the unique ability to guide them without resorting to direct coercion. Instead of resorting to direct pressure or overt coercion, one should act differently. There is no need to resort to aggressive manipulation. It is far more effective to use more subtle, barely perceptible methods of influence. One must provide people with just a slight hint, a fleeting glimpse of what they passionately desire, just enough for them to taste the allure of that aspiration. Then, with pinpoint precision, one should cultivate in them a clear understanding that the path to realizing this cherished desire lies exclusively through the one who controls the situation. This is where true control lies, yet it is skillfully disguised. It does not manifest as harsh domination, but appears in the guise of a promising prospect or a valuable opportunity. Human nature often strives for the illusory feeling of freedom of choice. However, if one is the one who shapes the available list of options, setting the emphasis on the menu of possibilities, then the outcome for others is already predetermined. The great thinker Machiavelli once asserted that two powerful impulses drive people, either deep affection or all-consuming fear. However, in the realities of modern society, these motivators have significantly expanded. Now, powerful factors such as the desire to create a certain image, ego gratification, and the deep-seated need to feel noticed, sought after, and admired are added to them. It is these subtle strings that should be played. If someone has a strong thirst for recognition, praise should be administered very sparingly, dispensed only in an amount that ensures continued dependence on one's approval. In the case where an individual craves power, they should be brought as close to it as possible, but under no circumstances allowed to enter the power structure itself. One must create the impression that the coveted goal is literally an inch away, almost within their grasp. This is the sweet spot of control, allowing one to maintain influence without overt pressure. To win and retain people's loyalty, there is no need to resort to direct threats or intimidation. It is enough to possess a key ability, the power to reward or, conversely, to deprive them of what they genuinely desire. When this fundamental truth is realized by them, they themselves will inevitably begin to orbit around the center of influence. Then there will be no need to chase anyone or demand anything from them. Control will be exercised through subtle suggestions and hints, not rigid commands. The most potent form of influence always remains invisible, silent, and deeply psychological. Those subject to it will be convinced that a particular idea originated with them, and will believe they are in complete control of the situation. However, every one of their movements, every choice, will be based on an unspoken, yet carefully constructed framework that one has built around their own desires. It is at this moment that it becomes evident the game of influence has been mastered. One should skillfully use charm, measured attention, strategic silence, controlled access, everything that serves as their primary driving force. It is necessary to present this skillfully, give it the right form, and transform it into a powerful instrument of influence. For a puppet, as is known, never sees the strings by which it is controlled. Thus, true mastery lies in controlling the ultimate outcomes by managing deep human desires. Moving on to Rule 7, one must strictly adhere to the principle: never be overly accommodating or excessively available. It is scarcity, a deficit of attention or resources, that generates true respect. The more frequently people encounter someone's presence, the less they begin to value it. This is a paradoxical, yet bitter truth that the vast majority of individuals stubbornly refuse to accept. Often, a person continues to constantly appear in plain sight, dedicating more and more of their energy and time. Always being available for everyone, naively believing that such behavior will earn them boundless loyalty or genuine love. However, this is a profound misconception. Such omnipresence does not lead to loyalty. It merely creates unwarranted expectations and diminishes the value of the one who so diligently strives to be useful. The more available a person becomes to others, the more firmly the idea takes root in their minds that their presence is a constant and immutable factor. Once such an assumption is firmly established in their minds, they gradually lose due respect for one's presence. Their words cease to resonate, and their true value becomes invisible. They become mere background. Noise, predictable, interchangeable, entirely unnoticed. And most regrettably, it is this very person, through their own actions, who has taught others this perception. The reason lies not in the absence of their value, but in the fact that they made that value excessively accessible. If one's presence is felt constantly, it inevitably becomes commonplace. And human nature is such that people are not inclined to exalt what they perceive as ordinary. True value, as a rule, is only found in that which requires effort to attain. What is considered rare? What evokes a sense of fleetingness? Niccolò Machiavelli aptly observed, "People in general judge more by appearances than by reality." Everyone has eyes, but few have the gift of insight. In this context, it is completely irrelevant how pure one's intentions are, or how real their intrinsic worth is. If one appears too readily available, others will inevitably consider them less significant. Such are the laws of the world we live in. The outward image often holds more weight than the true content, until scarcity forces people to pay attention to the content they had previously taken for granted. Excessive usefulness turns a person into a tool, and tools, as is known, are subject to replacement as soon as something more appealing and shiny appears on the horizon. So, it is time to stop trying to be everything to everyone. One should stop answering every phone call. It is necessary to stop appearing at the first call for those who wouldn't even notice your absence. Create a certain distance. Let people earn your time. When you speak, let your words carry weight. Not because you speak loudly, but because your appearance is a rare event. There is no need to be cold or distant. It is enough to be purposeful. Be present when it truly matters, but withdraw before they start to think you will never leave them. Your absence should resonate much louder than your presence ever could. When they don't hear from you, they should wonder what you are creating. When they don't see you, they should feel it. Let mystery elevate you. Let silence create tension. Make them remember how powerful your presence is by limiting it. This truth was revealed to him. The world around you will not change for anyone's personal needs. It will not halt its relentless course due to anyone's pain or suffering. It will not offer rewards for sincerity, nor protect anyone's loyalty. Instead, it will test a person, perhaps betray their trust, deceive them, and then continue its existence as if nothing happened. Such, in essence, is the true nature of existence. And the sooner an individual abandons illusory expectations of fairness, the sooner they will begin to acquire true power over their destiny. From now on, one understands the rules of this unspoken game. One has managed to look beneath the seemingly serene surface, where deceit, political machinations, and invisible wars that people wage against each other, hidden behind masks of false smiles and empty promises, lie concealed. However, knowledge itself is merely the initial step on this path. It is how one uses this knowledge that will define their future essence and place in this world. Their presence here is not conditioned by the goal of achieving universal love or approval. Their purpose is to endure through any circumstances, survive trials, and dominate, acting with cold precision. Rather than making unnecessary noise or fuss, triumph belongs to those capable of rapid adaptation, not to those who continue to cry out for justice in a world that has never known it. Clarity of thought is their undeniable advantage. Unflappable calm serves as their reliable armor, and complete control over themselves and the situation is their sharp weapon. This should never be forgotten. The ability to accurately perceive reality is a powerful force. Survival depends on a well-thought-out strategy, not on showing empathy or expecting it from others. Let them remain dangerous. Let them remain untouchable. The next move is theirs.